It's a tall order for me to tell you don't get defensive when somebody's making a very insulting accusation about you. Being told that you're not a Christian, as a Christian, is about the worst thing somebody could say about you. Just imagine someone making a very insulting declaration about your character and about your person. You're naturally going to want to defend yourself, and you're probably going to get emotionally fired up and everything else. And I understand that. I empathize with that. But I would nevertheless tell you, watch out for that, because I don't think it's productive. I would encourage you to remember 5 things. Number 1, remember the other person's awkwardness. Now, put yourself in their shoes, because chances are you've found yourself having to confront a brother or sister about something. Maybe it's a sin, or maybe it's just something of a non-moral character. The least helpful thing to do in that kind of situation is to get defensive in a way that just increases the awkwardness. Instead, move against that. Try to dispel the awkwardness. Be gracious about it, even if you've been insulted unjustly. Second, recognize the other person's good intention. When Marlon shared his theory about why he didn't think Catholics were Christians, he was quick to say, I say this with love. And you know what? I believe him. I think he's wrong in what are some pretty obvious ways, but I also believe his motives are pure and maybe even holy. And so I don't want to knock that too much. I think he is misguided, not malicious. Don't get defensive, even if you know they're wrong, because you want to respond by recognizing bravery, honestly, that it took them to confront you, and the awkwardness that they've kind of created for themselves as well as for you, and their good intentions for being willing to undergo what they knew would be an unpleasant situation for your good. Remember this, it's much easier for them to have just talked about you behind your back. I've encountered situations where Protestants have said stuff about Catholics not being Christians, and then they find out I'm Catholic, and then they get really awkward because they didn't want to say that to a Catholic. They wanted to say it about Catholics. I get that, but I don't really have a ton of respect for that. Meaning, I don't have a ton of respect for it when you talk ill of others behind their back while being too cowardly to confront them head on. Now, it's fine if you're just saying, help me understand this situation. I'm not speaking about that. But someone who's convinced Catholics aren't Christians, and both of the cases I'm thinking about in my own life, they weren't asking, they were declaring, but then they didn't want to declare it to a Catholic. They wanted to declare it to other Calvinists. That sort of thing, I think whether you're Catholic or Protestant, we should recognize is clearly unchristian. That is not what we're called to do as Christians. There's a model for how you approach when a brother is erring. There's a model for how you confront error and all of this, and that's not it. When someone comes to you, appreciate the fact that they didn't take the easy road. They did the harder thing of coming to you. Remember how Jesus responded to insulting and false accusations. Jesus' opponents claimed he wasn't really Jewish. They call him a Samaritan and a demoniac. That is at least as insulting as being told that you're not a Christian. And so Jesus could have easily and even justly responded with outrage, but he doesn't do that. In response to the claim that the King of the Jews isn't really a Jew, we find him responding with grace and humility, but also defending himself, directly addressing their objection, telling them they're wrong, but without getting defensive.